Okay, we're just a little bit late, but we are good to go.
It's sick. I have some.
I get some various
on the back.
application emails where that
Yeah.
just came off with one of them, so a lot of things, yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to be missing Richard, but you may show up later. Okay, and again, we call this work session for those folks who are interested in working about the levies. If you're not involved and you don't want to be involved, you don't belong here, number one. If you're going to work against us, you don't belong here. If you're here to share ideas and to move forward, then we want to hear what you have to say.
Well, then let me ask Bill, are you for it or against it?
100% against,
Then why are you here?
because it's a public meeting and anyone's welcome to come.
But what's your purpose?
I don't know what matters to you.
It does matter to me because
Doesn't mean I'm going to answer. I'm glad to be here though.
well, you're one of the most negative persons, and I have a feeling that whatever we say this evening is going to be used against us.
But maybe you shouldn't say it.
Oh, no,
Well,
we
then
gotta
let's just
say it.
adjourn the meeting and have it in place.
That's not a bad idea.
And that's what we should do.
Well, it's gotta be advertised and it's gotta be taking place where you put the time, place, and you call it. And Bill will show up no matter what.
That's darn right.
Let me ask you something, Bill.
You want to get,
Why?
you guys go ahead and start your conversation.
Okay, no, we're starting it right now. Let me ask you something. Why are you so against it?
Against what?
Well, the city in general, essentially.
Ah, see, I knew you were going to pull that one. He's asking why I'm against the tax levy, and you're going to say I'm against the whole city.
Well, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
I asked.
He's asking a
Answer
question,
mine.
you're assuming something.
Yes,
So, why am I against the tax levy?
yes.
Because the city government has not been accountable to the wishes expressed by residents twice already, that they do not want tax increases. And they have shown the city has shown even a hostile view toward the residents. Doesn't want input from residents, doesn't want to hear their comments at meetings, wants to pass legislation without the consideration of residents, wants to hold public hearings on legislation that hasn't even come forward yet. We have received it that night, and we expect the public to make an answer or ask questions, and they haven't had a chance to look at it. We haven't had a chance to look at it. That is totally the wrong way to run government, and people don't trust you, and I don't blame them. They don't trust the city.
Well, the funny thing is that we have been elected by the public to make decisions, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. Now,
I've made a decision. I'm against the tax levy.
Well, do you have a plan? If the levies fail,
Today.
do you have a plan?
My question first is, do you have a plan?
that's why we're here.
That's why we're
here.
No, you have a plan to pass a levy. What's your plan?
Because
Once the
the
levy
city
passes.
needs dollars
You've been saying that
to
for
run
3
the
years.
city. We put a plan together.
You don't have a plan. What's your plan?
What's your plan?
No,
No, seriously.
We
What is
forwarded
your
a plan to the state that had the levies
Uh-huh.
on it.
And you also
To
plan
get
to
us
transfer
in.
$200,000 from the trash fund every year for the next
And-
4 or 5 years.
Possible.
It's right in your plan. I don't think the residents are for that.
And we knocked that out, didn't we?
You sure Billy did not.
Can we go back to the original question though? What's your plan?
My plan is to look at where our revenues are, see where our expenditures are, find out what the difference is, and then start from there. Not say, oh, woe is us, we're behind this month, we need more money. How much? I don't know, but give us some, and I'm sure we'll be okay. Because in 2012, you transferred $700,000 from the railroad fund to, quote, balance your budget. You still didn't balance it.
280,000.
You transferred $700,000. And that was someone else's money.
No, it wasn't.
And it sure was.
Can we go back to your plan though?
No, it was not.
I told you where it is.
Okay, so you don't believe the state audit?
What about the state audit?
State audit said we broke and we were 1.8 million in
I
the hole.
100% believe that.
Okay.
The first thing you do when you realize you're broke is find out why you're broke.
Okay,
You
so-
find out how broke you are.
Yeah, but after that point, at some
We
point.
haven't got that far
You
yet.
can look in the bank but right now, with 1.8 million, can we agree on that?
What,
It's a little bit
1.8
more than
Yeah.
that.
What is 1.8 million?
What did the state audit say?
State
That
audit.
roughly we're $1.8 million in debt.
For
No, we
2012.
have
Okay, hold on.
$1.8 million negative fund balances. That's not $1.8 million in debt.
Okay, we got a negative fund balance.
Mhm.
How do you balance that negative balance? Are you saying the money's there somewhere?
We have a few $100,000 in the bank. We aren't negative in our overall balance as of yet. But we spent the $7 million surplus that was had in the treasury over the past 4 or 5 maybe years, in addition to taking out a $10 million loan.
Okay, you still.
And that didn't, okay, that didn't solve our problem, didn't? We had $10 million to spend, and that didn't solve our problem. So why is a couple million next year gonna solve the
Okay,
problem?
but are we in debt or not? Or we got a negative balance? How do we get from that negative balance to being
Well,
equal?
if it was all we needed was more money, then we should be fine, because we borrowed $10 million 4 years ago.
Okay,
5 years
again,
ago.
we're 4 or 5 years ago. We're talking about right now. Right
That's
now.
your solution now, is more money. It wasn't the solution
Okay.
then, it hasn't been the whole
So,
time.
so the solution isn't more money, and I think the state has said we cannot stay in this negative position.
That's right.
What is your plan to get from the negative position to a place where the state say you're doing okay?
It'll be two things. Well, once we get to the point of assessing fully where we are, saying this is how much revenue we have on this side, and then these are the amount of expenditures we currently have or plan to have year to year, then we compare those two, see how far behind we are. Okay, that's the first step. Now there will be two parts. There will be looking at those expenditures and saying how much do they need to be reduced to get to here. We look at that and we say, okay, let's just pull out a number. Let's say that we are 1.5 million behind annually. Let's just say that. Annually we're spending 1.5 million than we bring in. So then we would say, okay, we can cut, let's look at this, we can cut maybe $700,000 more. Restructure some things, reformulate how we do business. We can save $700,000. What's remaining? $800,000, right? So then we say, okay guys, this is when we go to everyone as a whole city, and we say, here's what we've done, here's how it all weighed out, here's the, let's say, 15 million we bring in, but we're spending 16 and a half. We've made up 700,000. We think we've made it as efficient as possible. We've looked over everything. So if we don't want to cut out maybe the senior center or more of the police force, something along those lines, then we need to pass this particular levy for this particular purpose to fill this particular void. We're all in this together. Not for us to have special meetings where no one has input from the public and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. We're going to bring in traffic cameras. Not once did anyone, that was our solution, right? For money. Did anyone have a say in that?
But Bill,
No, they didn't have a say.
they were invited. I don't see anybody here now. I mean, they were invited.
You aren't listening to me. Why would they come and think that you're going to listen to them? That's the short story.
They need to come.
They have a right to
We don't
consultation.
listen to
Speak.
them.
I'm not going to argue that. I agree. They have a responsibility to come.
That's right.
But what is our responsibility? We can sit here and point fingers.
Our responsibility is to balance this budget.
If you want to go,
first
that's
and
fine.
foremost.
If
is
you want to
balance
go
the
for more
budget.
money to balance it, you go right ahead. I
Well, that's our
disagree.
purpose tonight, so
Well,
you're.
I know, go ahead, check in.
Right.
Now, Bill, we had state cuts
Well, you're not gonna convince
I know what
Alex.
cuts we had, Alex.
and we had property devaluations.
He knows it all, Alex.
And we took hits in that mayor and all of us heard it time and again.
Mhm.
We know you already got what we're going to be receiving. They already told us $14 million. And they're all estimates on our taxes,
Yeah.
on our real estate taxes.
You're right, because you're not sure that 14 million as a whole is gonna actually come in.
Everyone's in the
That's
exact
right.
same boat. Every city is in the exact same boat.
Yes, we are.
You guys keep saying, oh, estimates, oh, woe is us, we can't ever count on our estimates. Every other city in the entire nation is doing estimates. And they're not crying a river saying, oh, woe is us, we don't have any idea how much money is coming in because these are only
Well, they
estimates.
may do that, but
We
maybe
just
not
told,
as
we just
dramatic
now
as you.
discussing it, we did during our plan.
Okay,
Irene was there.
okay, Alex,
There's a lot
There's
of
no point.
suburbs that
There's
are
no point.
currently putting levies on
There's
the
no point.
ballot.
There's a
So-
ton of them.
Just.
Well, I don't want the negativity that we're gonna do it.
Did I not say
did do it.
that we could put a levy on the ballot?
You know,
I'm not
you didn't
against
say
levies
that's right.
in general. I'm not against traffic cameras in general. I'm against the way we do business, the way the city seems to have done business for a long time now. And if you haven't noticed, we are not in good places, and we can't blame it all on everyone else.
okay, but our purpose here tonight is not to listen to your lecture,
I'm not giving you a lecture.
but, yeah,
No,
yes,
can
you
I just
are.
ask one question?
I'm trying to let you guys go.
Let's get it out now, Jack,
Well,
go
if
ahead.
we don't resolve or at least come to some kind of middle ground, my question is, with all the things that Irene has given us, and I think that when you're talking about the expenditures and you're talking about the income, hasn't that been given to us? And if it has, okay, we could say, just like how we budget our own money in our own household, I have this much for groceries and this much for whatever, because we just have a different pie with different terms. Now, let's just say that the car breaks down and it's like, oh geez, I have to go to work, I have to pull that money out of somewhere. We could actually have a budget, but what actually has hurt us, I think, in the past, were all the little things that were unforeseen and the little things add up. You know, the fire truck, the pumper, not the pumper, but the ladder truck. We had to make a decision, do we keep it or do we spend how much money to actually repair that? A lot of the things that we have aren't brand spanking new, and there's here, there's there, there's parts, and it's stuff that's unanticipated. So no matter how hard we try to budget to the penny or even to the 100,000, it's still gonna just
You have to estimate,
not work out. I mean,
The margin of
well,
error
that's-
should be about 5%.
and maybe it
And
is.
it's not 5% here.
Maybe it is.
It's a lot more than that. Okay, so there, that's part of the problem.
Okay, let's move on to exactly what we're going to do. We have two different levies coming up. One is, which we have all voted for, or most of us have voted for. And what we're going to do is to try to convince the residents that this is something that we need to do in order to keep moving. One of them is for the senior center and the other is for city operations. So they're two separate levies. But we can publicize both of them at the same time or one or the other. What are your thoughts? And specifically, we do have a forum coming up in September where I've asked Linda to speak to the senior center issue, and hopefully we can ask Irene to come in and talk about our status. We should have some information from the audits at that point. The audit by Zilka should be finished by the 31st, so we should have the 13th audit done, so we'll be in a better position to actually talk about where we are. Okay?
What date was that, September the what?
23rd.
Well, actually, I had it scheduled at the library for the 23rd, but we could only get the one room one, I believe. So if Linda would be available, could we move that to the senior center?
What day is
It would
that?
be the 24th, it would be the Wednesday after our meeting, our third Wednesday.
The Wednesday, yeah.
I think it would be better to
It's
have it
bigger
at the
room.
senior center. It's, yeah.
It's bigger than room one.
Yes, well, they're having a book sale over at the library, so that whole week is going to be out as far as the big room. So if we could just do that, I think that would be, and you'll be available. Okay, and then I'll check with Irene for that, for the status. How do you want to do this? You want to talk about newspapers? We can devise.
Well, you know what, you kind of started with one question about should we put them together or should we put them
Yes.
separate? And I think that's the first question, and I would like to see them separate because either they both fail or at least one may pass. And Bill, I don't know if you would be agreeable to one of these levies, but I think that there would be more support, at least for the senior center, because of the transparency that we have. I hate that word, but for being able to show on paper exactly what comes in through grants, what was ready has been cut, especially with, some of the busing for the seniors, the Meals on Wheels, the food pantry, the social services that you guys do for everybody, not just for the seniors. People come in for home repair, and they come in for, I had my water turned off, and I come in for all these little things, and you're more social workers for the entire city rather than just only promoting the seniors. I think it would also help promote what the senior center does, because it almost shouldn't be just called a senior center, just because of all the work that you do there, the diversity of work you do there. And that would be a very good thing by maybe publicizing the levy, as well as, hey, guys, this is a place to go where you don't know where to go. And I think it's important that I think city operations is very important, but I think that we'd have a better chance if there was only one that passed. I think it would be the senior center one.
Okay, anybody else want to weigh in on that idea? That would mean we'd have to do two separate, whatever,
Yeah.
cards, whatever.
That would be one of my big issues is the cost, if we do mail it, again, that would double the cost of whatever our mailings would be.
Not
But
necessarily if you do a double-sided. You could have one side, like a happy face, and a smiley face.
oh, I thought you said two separate.
Well, to keep them separate, not
Oh,
all
okay.
the same paragraph, keep them separate as in,
Yeah, well,
when
okay.
you're talking about a mailing, I think you could flip over whichever side. But,
Okay.
to have one form for the seniors and then one form for the operation.
Absolutely. I took it as you wanting two separate pieces of literature.
No, we couldn't afford that.
Okay.
When does the absentee ballots go out?
Soon, actually, probably August.
Because we're gonna have the meetings before.
Mhm.
No, I think they go out into September.
Yeah, they go out October.
Yeah, because they haven't
60 days?
even,
Well, I think the request for them go out
haven't
earlier.
even got to the deadline yet.
Okay, so we want to have the meetings before.
Oh, yes. So we just need to do some dialogue, some, just, and if anybody would like to pull that together, we can ask Kathy to pull some of it together.
Well, what's your thoughts on the senior center? I mean, would you, if you had a choice of, I'm trying to compromise. and
I think you
understand-
shouldn't even try to waste your breath on.
I can't
on
reason
this.
with
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please
Okay.
don't.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey,
I just
I'm,
don't want to
I
interrupt.
understand what
He's
Tony's
not here to
saying.
support it. Why would we ask his input on anything of this?
Exactly.
Okay, but
Exactly.
I
That's
see what
his
you're
choice.
saying. No, I
Yeah, it's his
understand what you're
choice.
saying.
It can be your right, but yeah, but let's go.
Okay. Anthony, you had gotten the information from the newspaper,
Right.
and did you think it was something that we would be able to do financially?
Well, you guys are mentioning the mailer. I think mailers are pretty expensive. I think you have to do one or the other. Because,
Did you have one of these?
yeah, I have one of these. And this is an example of the one ad, just the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about $320.
Is that in there?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about $320 for one run, one
Did I
week.
give you one of those, Ron?
So to advertise it twice, you're talking $600, and then you're talking on top of the mailer. The mailer's gonna be at least probably a couple $1,000
Mhm.
easily. So the question is which one do you wanna do? Because it is expensive.
can they do a PSA?
I'm sure they can do that, that's free.
Right.
But who actually reads those, to be honest with you?
Robocall, how much is robocall? Anybody know?
If you have a landline or if you have a cell phone, I
Yeah.
know we've gotten
Yeah.
one. But how many of us know at least 5 or 6 people that may be supportive of, as in block watch captains, whatever, we give them flyers to do their own street door to door, that helps us with just the walking too. I mean, it has to be a personal door to door kind of thing.
You know, that's a good point. If you think about it, sometimes it's been a one-on-one, which convince people, once they understand. For instance, the woman at, Richard's,
Block watch.
Richard's program on Saturday, she said, well, I signed the petition because she said I didn't know about it. So getting to that woman and giving her an explanation of what that petition was all about, she said, well, I definitely would not vote for it now because she now understands what the need is and has a better understanding. So whoever went around talking about that Mr. Peterson and company, don't know what they said, but obviously it wasn't enough. So if we do one-on-one, like going with the
Even if it's not the door knock and talk to someone, it's still the personal flyer going into your door rather than, the odds are, how many people read the paper, it's not delivered, are you gonna pick one up, are they gonna be gone? Are you gonna also get some of the other little publications that are around the city, Brown Report, and then that, I don't know what the name of the newspaper is that you have sometimes on the table with the council meeting, that smaller, I don't know the name of that one.
I don't know.
The Brown Report, it doesn't go to everybody.
No, not that one, that doesn't.
No, but it heavily goes at least on the west side of, I'm sorry, the east side. I've not seen one in my district, nor I've not gotten one, but I think Kimberly is pretty much on board with the levies from what I hear.
Linda?
I just was gonna make a comment, if that's right, you said 325, Anthony?
Somewhere in the area.
Okay, I can probably commit that the seniors, out of their, they have their own treasury, and they've been very generous, and this is the first time a levy's been put on the ballot that specifically is for them to keep, and they're very concerned about the center closing and the services. Those of you who came to the fundraiser, you obviously could see that by the turnout of the people, their generosity and all of that they are very much in favor of keeping it open. So out of their treasury, I believe that I could commit for them, that I would ask them, but they would put an ad in for the 300. They would at least do one of them for you, an ad, if you wanted to do that. They would help. The other thing is, Chief Castellucci and I have talked, and I believe, again, Chief Popularczyk and I were both at the Trojanski Black Watch, and then we went over to Edwina's event. And quite honestly, we were kind of impressed with, we were very impressed with Edwina's. Richard had no control of how many came. But the response from the people in both of those places was, I thought, outstanding. First of all, the people who came because they were interested, whether it was in their children's education and school or whether it was the Black Watch. Edwina allowed me to speak at the meeting about the food pantry, and the response was excellent. I mean, they were listening, they were nodding, they came up and asked me for my card. At Richard's meeting, I gave out all business cards to people who some of them knew and some of them didn't. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the Chief Castellucci and I talked, and we would be willing to come to any of your districts if you would have a meeting or a block watch that you would meet at wherever you wanted to meet. If you wanted to meet at the park, if you were at somebody's house, if you were at a hall, if you wanted to use the senior center for the meeting, because we did use that in the past for levy issues. We would be willing to speak on behalf of all of our departments to let the people know. It seems that that's working much better than anything else, the one-on-one conversation. A lady came into I told a few of you, a lady came into the senior center the other day, and now in the afternoon, when one of us has gone to lunch, there's only one of us in the building. So I had someone on the phone with a concern, a man being taken out of the hospital and put into a nursing home, someone coming to register for the garage sale, which is not a senior event, it's a city event. I had 3 phone calls that I had to put the lady on hold, and the lady filling out the application, when I got to take it from her, said, "Is everybody out to lunch?" And I pointed to the desks and I said, well, she's been transferred to the building department. She's been laid off. She was transferred to service and has left the city. And yes, there is one out to lunch. I said, so besides, and she looked at me and she says, "You're kidding." And I said, "No, I'm not." And she said, and then she said what happened. And so I told her a few of the things that happened. And she's, again, it was one-on-one, and it's, you have to take the time and you've got to explain it, but it seems to play out well when you do that. So we would be willing to do that as part of this, because we believe that, and again, and just one other comment, and I would hope maybe later on, if you have time, one of you who were on city council, when you borrowed the 10 million, maybe you could tell Mr. Brownlee what you borrowed that for. It sounds like he thinks you put it in, you borrowed it, and it was in an account over in the finance department, and you went ahead and just spent it.
I know exactly what it was spent on.
Right.
Pardon me?
I know exactly what it was spent on.
Oh,
There's a
well,
whole breakdown in the legislation that you
okay,
passed.
well, the impression was that that these folks just threw the money away and didn't have a good purpose
So
for
the
it.
point was it didn't solve our woes.
No, but it preserves.
There's no talking to you, is there? I'm sorry.
always
I'm sorry.
right.
I am sorry. There is no discussion, is there? It's his way or the highway.
See, this is
I'm
what the
sorry.
negativity
There's no
is
point.
going to do with these levies.
Oh, I know, but
Because you got, excuse me, Bill, half-truths. Because at that time,
Full of it.
no, it's not. Because at that
now we
time,
built a swimming pool.
Go ahead, guys,
We
just
built a
continue
swimming
your
pool.
conversation. You don't need to waste time on me. Go
at
ahead.
that time, we was not where we are today.
Well, what do we do if there's a leaky roof? I mean, the
It was
police
not there.
department was flooded in the basement, and we had to redo the entire shooting
Oh, we
range
could
thing
go
with
to
the
the
lead
roofs
wall.
and everything.
Yeah, well,
Streets,
he
he
doesn't
didn't
want to
even
hear
live
that.
here
That's
then.
history.
Don't
That's
fix
history.
it.
That's right.
Don't fix
That's
that.
what we know.
You guys are the ones that don't want to hear history.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's also like the blow in the
Don't
past.
fix it. It's no,
Don't let your
something
arrogance
wrong.
get ahead of you. Okay, to Linda's point, and I think this is a great idea, when we were passing levies for the library, every meeting that was scheduled, somebody had to go in and talk. So if you have something scheduled at your event, we need to have someone other than you to go in, like, whatever, be available to do that.
And we, like I said,
think that would be just-
I'm sure Chief Papalarczyk would be on board too.
He's very good.
He's very good. But Chief Castellucci said too that as long as he would still be here and a new chief wouldn't be, until then, that we would be willing to do it.
Excellent.
That's what passed the first police and fire levies. It was that personal one-on-one.
I think that's any other comments about how to approach the public?
Well, now I gotta be a little negatively about when the auditor came in over St. Andrews. I did my whole district. I had approximately 20 residents of District 1 there. It's hard to get people to go. Block watches, very fine. You can get the word out, you have literature, that's great. And I'm gonna plan a block watch all the rest of this fall till we get the levies, as soon as we get material. And that'll be one of the subjects. And here again, I'm gonna do the same thing as I always done. Get the literature, print it, hire me some kids, and we're gonna go door to door. I mean,
Just make sure
everybody,
that there's not somebody behind those kids taking the literature out of the door.
I'll be,
Has happened in the
here,
past.
Tony, everybody in my sayings, and I'm out all day long, I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Now, every house is gonna get a piece of literature. And when they tell me they don't know about it, they got a piece of literature. Whether you think they don't, it's delivered to their house. And they take it out of the door or wherever you put it. That's the only way, because that's what I'm hearing. I didn't know about it.
Well, let's-
So every house is gonna get a piece of literature.
Okay.
What I'm planning,
Okay.
if we go ahead with this.
No, there's no if. There's no if. We've got to make an effort. Go ahead.
Now, if we put the literature in the envelope, can we stick it in the mailbox? No?
No.
Okay, okay.
Inside door, inside the little thing, railing.
Now, you could put it on the mailbox.
Like when we were running, we couldn't.
No, it's all at all times.
Underneath the mailbox, there's always some crack or something you can wedge in. Mailman said, that's fine, as long as it's not
Or do
inside.
the rubber band thing.
Yeah.
Every house is different. rubber
Yeah.
band fold in half, but it's all different.
It's all different.
I was passing out my letters right behind the mailman, and he was cool. He was like, well, I have to knock on this door because I have to deliver a package. So I was like, I'm right behind you.
Go ahead, Ron.
I was just saying, if we can commit to door, it's one thing. If not though, a mailer needs to go to at least the registered voters who voted in the last election or two. Those are the people who are going to vote again. And you're going to get a few other ones that do, but the majority of the people, they vote in every election, that one base. But out of the last 2 to 3 elections, you're probably going to hit, I bet you 90% of the people who's going to vote in this upcoming election. Yes, it would cost money, but I don't think that, I think the state that the city is in right now, that money that we would invest in our city will be well worth.
Ron,
well
most of us
spent.
did contribute to the last mailers that went out. Not all of council did that, but most of us had to carry a good portion of that.
Mhm.
So we're kind of well aware, and it's very welcoming that other council members might want to reach into their pockets.
Well, I think we're going to have to, for whatever we decide here, because it'll be a donation of some sort along with whatever the seniors can do.
Yeah, now the absentee ballots are gonna, application for an absentee ballot is gonna be mailed out, so there's gonna be more this time. Last time I mailed my absentee ballots to my residents.
So which means a piece of literature that we would come
Has to be
together.
soon.
Pardon?
Has to be soon.
Yes. So, again, so to me, we're in a situation where we should meet as often as necessary until we come up with that.
Well, if there's someone who is a good writer or who would like to work with Kathy or whoever to pull a prototype together, that would be
I will,
really.
but she puts too many words in there. From the property tax one was
And
very.
again, I
was
think it's
dense.
important to do a draft early enough to come back here so we all can look at it and come up with a final one
Yeah.
before somebody does it and it just goes out.
We gotta use one piece.
Good point, one piece.
Hey,
Okay,
Jackie,
go
since you're
ahead.
the secretary,
piece, two
do you
sides.
think Linda and the chiefs can come to the Democratic Club meeting on I think it's the 15th or something like that? And speak?
They're Democrats, they're one. Right?
Because I know we have a meeting the 15th or something.
Yeah, there's one coming up.
If you invite
Talk to
them,
Michelle and see what she's got
Let's
going
see
on.
what she say.
Okay, all right, definitely.
I
What day
think-
of the week
I
is
think
that?
you can, if you
Tuesday.
invite them. I think if you invite them as a party, inviting them, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, 'cause they
They have guest speakers all the time.
Yeah.
They do, they absolutely do. Isn't there a Republican Party too? You two are in the Republican, you have
I
a
don't have any
Republican?
idea.
What was that?
Oh, you're,
I don't have any idea.
you're so out of touch.
I know.
I haven't been in a
You
Republican
don't
Party
have-
for over 10 years.
Seriously?
How where you been?
Bill, you don't have any idea of what?
If there's a Republican Party organized in Maple Heights, I do
Oh,
know
in
that.
Maple Heights, okay.
Yeah, old Tooval, bro.
Okay, so basically, we are gonna do the forums, and then we should try to do as many community in our own district to support the forum, like the mini forum type of thing. We're gonna try to see if we can take out some ads into the newspapers.
Correct.
We're gonna do one mailer, and then we're gonna try to canvass to reach those people that didn't come to our smaller district meetings. And I think the district meetings would have more people come than a big forum, because then you figure, oh geez, how long is it gonna last? And sometimes if it's right down the street, with the block watch kind of thing, or I would do a forum maybe at St. Andrews. And maybe you might wanna join me.
He might give us the
Or
building.
even all
He
three
will.
districts.
Okay,
He just called me to ask if we were gonna do a fundraiser.
you know what?
He wanted to give us the building again.
What do you think about something that is not a fundraiser, but something like a pancake breakfast or ice cream social or something that would bring people out?
Food always works.
Food works.
Yeah, right, I mean.
Well, we're not
Well,
doing
you
climate.
you only have 8
change,
weeks to work here.
I know.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah, the time is short, you gotta contact the printer.
Yeah, because you have to get the word out for that.
Printer is
Social or
easy.
whatever.
I got a printer.
Yeah.
He turns stuff out quick.
You,
Oh, I thought you were talking about your house.
I'm also gonna
Yeah,
get
10 pages a minute, right?
Yeah.